Barakatay Hawa, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is a response to Elder Apostle Gabar. It's a I don't want to be woke and broke. And that's pretty much a quote from the individual in the beginning of the video that asked Bishop Nathaniel about, making money, however he put it, for him and his family. And, the Apostle Gabar is going into it. And as he was speaking about it, like all type of thoughts were going through my mind, of that whole situation. And the first thought that should come to mind is to equip Jake, with the names of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, because those are keys, Let him know that the Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh and his son's name is Yahweh Shai, and that we have to call on the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai to get help from the heavens, and in order for Jake to, really be delivered, first and foremost, they have to be a part of the elect. And second of all, as the scriptures say here, they have to be fully persuaded in their own mind. In Romans 14:5, one man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind, because this is the only way, to be able to, be armed mentally in order to resist and withstand, what's going on in this whole world. As you have to be armed mentally, and you have to know, and believe that these things are actually going to happen and come to pass. Because as one of the precepts that I go to a lot, Romans 10:10, it says, for with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. So the first step is believing, and that belief leads to what? Righteousness. And then the next step after that is to confess it. And confession is made unto salvation, and in those names there is power. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, the righteous runneth into it and is safe, and then once you establish some sort of foundation with the names and with the knowledge of the scriptures, and a certain understanding, you have to also understand that the society that we live in is pretty much set up, and we're living this life based upon the people that are running this empire, and they run it on all levels, financially, politically, socially, so on and so forth. So you would have to understand that in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, it gives us a list of curses. And if we didn't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, these curses will come upon us. And one of the curses would be, cursed shall thou be in the city. So anywhere we go in any city, any major city, anywhere in the world, we will be cursed. It says, and cursed shall thou be in the field. The field represents, the world. So anywhere where there's a city around the world, you're going to find Israelites there. That the curses in this chapter, from the 16th verse on down, are going to apply to them, are going to befall them somehow, some way. Then the next thing would be going to the 48th verse, where it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. So we would serve our enemies, and we are serving our enemies. It says, in hunger and in thirst, when we want something to eat, we want something to drink, we have to go to the enemy, because the whole infrastructure of buying and selling and all that is all set up underneath this man. No matter what you do, it says, and in nakedness, if you want clothing, even if you make your own, you still have to go to this man to get the fabric. It says, and in want of all things, meaning everything that is established, in the society, we're pretty much, at the mercy of this man's system in order to operate. And a part of operating in his system pretty much is, exchanging, or doing business by way of the monetary system that he has in place. In this case now it's, FRNs, which are your Federal Reserve notes, your dollars, your coins, which everything is going digital, through, different, credit cards, debit cards, Apple Pay, people are paying with their phone, and eventually all of that's going to be moved in a direction, financially, for everything to go online. And this is where Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 16th verse comes into play on down, where it speaks about the MOTB, which y'all that have been watching and listening know what that is. It's the C-hip, which is going to be implanted subdermally, and that's how transactions are going to be made, around the world, and then, make the individual understand that, we have to work, we have to do what we have to do, we have to, provide for our families, so on and so forth, but at the end of the day, we're under this man's rule, under this man's society. So, as the Apostle Paul said in the book of 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, and the, you can start at the 29th verse, but I just want to get straight to the point. It's 31. It says, "And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away." So we know that. So we operate in the system as long as the system and the things that we do not conflict with our relationship with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Right? Because when we go to St. John chapter 2 and verse 15, it states, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world." And most people are hell-bent from the way that they were brought up is to be in the system and to, as the saying goes, keep up with the Joneses, and try to live the life that the world deems to be a successful life. Having a home, not just an apartment, buying a home, buying several cars, living the life, that everyone else is living, as what they push as the American dream. It says, "If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him." So you have to be willing to sacrifice, because understanding that we're under this devil's power structure, and we have to use his money and go to him, eventually everything is going to be pushed online. It says, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life." And the pride of life also pertains to financial things, how the world views you. Nobody wants to be viewed as a bum. Nobody wants to be viewed as an unsuccessful individual. And if you don't have a certain status in this society, that's exactly what you're viewed as a failure, because you didn't conform to the way that people view you as being successful. It says, "It's not of the Father, but is of the world, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever." And this is what we should be striving for, is eternal life. Yahushua told the disciples, "You that have given up everything and follow me, when the kingdom of heaven is established, you're going to receive back 100-fold everything." Because in this life we are set up to fail, and if we are part of the elect, that's exactly what's going to happen. But eventually that failure is going to turn into the biggest win of all times. And then when we go to Revelation 13, and this is why it's important to know about the MOTB, because the MOTB, which is the C-hip, ties into the whole financial system and the direction that everything is going in. There was a post that was just put up by one of the brothers, that now today, I believe it was the world, what's that? The WEF, World Economic Forum, just passed, I believe they said they passed a bill or they passed a law to where, I have to go back and read it, make sure that I read it right, to where you have to have, the V, the C19er, V, the rest, in order to be, to be able to partake in the system or something along those lines. So everything is moving into a digital state, a digital world. And this C-hip, which is in Revelation 13, which is the MOTB, this whole system is heading in that direction, because it's all predicated upon prophecy. And when we read it, right, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So all people of the planet, in order to officiate business, to do any form of business, whether it's buying or selling, whatever, traveling eventually, because all of that is going to be put within that device, that's going to be put subdermally into people, to where it's going to have everything, all the records, right? It says to receive a what? M-A-R-K in the right hand or in their foreheads. And that M-A-R-K, when you go into the actual origins of it or writings, it goes to different Greek words, one of them being charagma. The charagma is the C-hip, which is going to be a stamp or an imprinted M-A-R-K, something that's going to be cut into someone. All right. It says here the mark branded upon horses, thing carved, sculpture, graven work. Then you have, for the word charagma, you have root words in the Greek that give you even more understanding of what this whole system that's being set up in place right before everybody's eyes, that's financially, it gives you more root words, one of them being charax, which is something, to sharpen to a point through the idea of scratching, because this is the delivery system, which the delivery system is the needle used, as the vehicle that's going to be used to push that C-hip underneath people's skin. Right. And then it goes to one more root word, which is the word grapho, which is where you get the word writing from. To write with reference to the form of the letters. Then when we read through here, there is a part in here, because it says here to delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment, paper, or other material. Right. Where is it? Right here. To commit to writing things not to be forgotten, write down, record. And what's that? That is the information that's going to be put inside of that device, to where when they all they have to do is scan it, pull up your information, and everything will be there. Your driving history, your social security card, your birth certificate, your financial history, your criminal history, your dental history, your medical, everything will be on there. And that's going to be the way to do business in the future, which is already there, but it's just still in the infancy stage, or should I say toddler stage, because the infrastructure is already there. So explaining this to Jake is very important, because those that do take this and go in that direction, in that route, they're going to be destroyed, because they're not willing to sacrifice for the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. They rather, comply with the society that they're in, instead of saying, what, the hell with that, I ain't gonna take it, even to the point of death. And this is why it's the MOTB, which is the C-hip. It's such an important prophecy, and it's so important to let Jake out there know what it's all about. Once you let them know, then the blood is off of our hands. And this is why you play a dangerous game when you say that the C-hip is not the MOTB. That it's an embargo, it's Christianity, or it's sin. You have to, the Lord said, don't do something. You better believe he's going to identify what it is that he does not want us to do. And it's been identified. The receipts are stacked yay high. The evidence, everything is overwhelming. And you can go even deeper and deeper. And if we would have been able to speak to that individual and through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua bring this information out to him, if he's part of the elect, he's going to listen, because he's going to want, you're going to need, money to fund, of course, pay for your bills, take care of your family. The platform that he has, that they set up, they need money to keep it going, to pay the workers or whatever the case may be. But they have to come to the realization that everything is about to go online fully with this C-hip, which is the MOTB. And if you take that device, that is utter and sure destruction to those that take it. It says, Revelation 14:9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, that's the C-hip, MOTB, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. So the Lord said, don't do it, and he also identified what it is. If you are part of the elect, you're going to get it, and if you're a studious individual, like the IUIC obviously is, they're very studious. You can see by, that they go into the history, they go into, looking stuff up. So if you're that studious, it should be no excuse, unless you're just not part of the elect, to be able to go into these words and to figure out what this is. If you're part of the elect and the Spirit of the Lord is working with you. But this is what happens when you deny the name. This is what happens when you deny the prophecy of the MOTB, and you try to come up another way. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, right? Because destruction is going to come upon them. And when you keep going into this whole prophecy of Revelation chapter 13, it goes much deeper, because not only are the root words or the Greek and root words of this word mark heavy in itself to identify what this device is, it also comes down to, when you come down to the 18th verse, it says, here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which adds up to 666 or 666. And these numbers, each one of those numbers has a Greek numerical value, but it also has a Greek letter that accompanies it. And those letters are chi, psi, stigma. Now, they don't really break it down here. You got your chi, you got your psi, you got your stigma, which are different letters in the Greek alphabet. But when you get to the last of these letters, the word stigma is something that is cut into you. And it appears in the book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 17, where the apostle was speaking about the marks that were on Yahushai. Galatians 6:17, from henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushai, which those marks were actual prints that were in Yahushai. Okay? Those were actual prints from the nails, from the spear, in his hands, in his feet, and his side. Those were actual marks, actual prints that actually happened to the Lord. So the Apostle Paul is identifying that, right? And when we go to that word, right, in the Greek, it goes to the word stigma, or the word stigmata, which is here in the 666, chi psi stigma. And that word right there, stigma, it says primary stizo, to stick and prick, which is one of the root words of the word mark. And then when you go there, the stigma, it gives you a whole, history of what this stigma was all about. And it says a mark pricked pricked in subdermally, that devil, Noah, Duval, or Huval, Harari, or whatever, however you say his name. He said that they want to track everybody and put something subdermally, subdermally, right? It says, to ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name of or the stamp of their masters or commanders, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And this is what it's all about: identity of a slave. It's going to be the new slave pass. It's going to have, whatever you have to do, whatever business you have to do is going to be on there, and whatever master you belong to is going to be on there. Because these devils are going to have they think that they're going to continue on forever, and they think that they're going to have their fill of all of these different people on the earth being subjected forever to them as slaves. It says, and there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. You know, scar of service, stick, an example, prick. You know, so everything is there. You know, so if you could explain to Jake, if you could explain that to Jake, you know, it's up to if they're a part of the elect or not for the Lord to open up their mind, you know, to receive it. But the point is, at least you let them know that, look, this whole thing about business, yeah, while you can, yeah, do what you got to do. But know that eventually the system is going to be closed down. And the only ones that are going to be able to operate in the system are going to be the ones that take this particular device. You know? Because that's, see, Jake's whole mentality about being woke is about setting up a financial system among the so-called community. But the problem is that's been done over and over and over and over and over again. And what happened? It was burnt down to the ground. The most talked about examples are Tulsa, which is Black Wall Street, Rosewood. But there have been many, 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 many. You know, I was speaking or texting with Elder Bishop Ayatun. There's been many of these cities all throughout the United States, you know, that had thriving so-called black communities with businesses and all of that. And they were all shut down, closed down. Ponds and different things were covered them over so that the memory of them would cease from existing. You know, under the what is that thing called in St. Louis, the arch or the arc, you know, they're saying that there was an actual city under there that was a Jake city that was covered up. This is what these devils do. So our only hope is that the Lord comes back, take this devil down like he said he would. Yahweh Shai take his place, rightful place in the kingdom, and we being joint heirs with him, be able to get that inheritance in order to be able to live righteously. And even the nations of the world are waiting for us to get into power, because they know that once we get into power, although they know they're going to be in subjection, they know that they're going to get a fair shake, a fair deal. You're not going to get a fair deal from the devil, because everything that he does is only to his benefit and your detriment. So with that, you know, I pray that you brothers and you few sisters have been edified. And to the next time I say, Shalom.